This one island's only a mile and a half wide, and there's no cars at all.
Oh, that sounds like a place that Chee and I went to in Australia.
Yeah.
Just this, it was where the local Australians went for a weekend.
Is it okay if I turn this TV off?
Yeah, fine, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was called Rottnest Island.
Yeah.
And there was no cars on it, except for like delivery for the few cafes, or there was one hotel on there, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful. We only went for a day trip, but we ended up getting sort of a room then. Had to stay the night. And it was on Valentine's Day as well.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
That's nice.
Oh.
Yeah. We went over by helicopter.
Yeah.
And we was going to come back by the boat, but they gave us the wrong times for the boat to leave. Instead of leaving, as we thought, 6:30, it left at 5:30.
Oh.
And we all went down to the quay and nothing there. They said, sorry, it's gone. You have to stay the night. And the hotel was fully booked.
Oh no! Where did you stay?
Well, we was eyeing up the upturned boats along the beach and thought, yeah, that looks okay, you know. But the friends we were with, they bumped into some friends that they knew, and they put us up. So there was the husband, the wife, and 3 children in this little beach thing, and they put up the 4 of us, sort of sleeping top to tail and on floors and everywhere. But it was wonderful. Yeah.
When was that then? When did you go to Australia?
Oh gosh.
Could have been 4 weeks. I didn't. Not when I knew you, I think.
No. Gosh, it must have been about 1988, something like that. 87, 88.
It's been just before I started then, because I started in 87. About 87.
Yeah, it was somewhere around there, because he went out to Australia to do a course. And we had 3 weeks out there, 2 weeks teaching and a week.
Right.
Well, 2 days in Hong Kong, 3 days in Singapore. And
How did you get to go there then, to Australia?
Because he had a student out there called Peter, and he invited him over to do a course. So he thought, well, why not? And we went. And it was wonderful. It really was. Really enjoyed it. But they'd emigrated. Peter and Pat had emigrated out there 10, 12 years, or even longer than that. So he just wanted like a refresher course sort of thing. But he must have told all his students what she used to do when she was younger, all the tricks, and that's what they expected Chee to go out and perform all these tricks. And she says, I haven't come out here to become like an animal in a circus. I'm out here to teach you. I'm not going to perform. And but a few of the students were quite upset. And she said, well, you've come up here, you've come to this course to learn the form and to learn Kung Fu and this, not for all the tricks he used to do on chairs and knock people over without even touching them and all that sort of thing that he used to do occasionally. But
What was it with chairs?
oh, I don't know, this is all hearsay from all his older students that apparently used to do some fantastic miracle things, you know, which were true, but I'd never seen them because they were just one-off things that you used to do.
I remember you were telling us about when you went on holiday and they were trying to lift him up or something.
Yes, that was funny. That was in Mallorca. We got to know a couple who ran a cafe come bar on the beach. Lovely couple, and we used to go in there every day because it was English run. Peppies it was called, but they were English from Yorkshire. And we used to go in every day for a cup of tea, and because Chee only drank his own lapsang tea, so this, I think it was the second day we went in there, and I says, do you mind if we can only have hot water in the teapot? I said, because he likes to use his own tea, and they said, yeah, of course he can, whatever he wants, So he enjoyed his nice cup of lapsang tea. And then we got talking to them and that. And over the few years that we used to go out there, we got to know him very well. And he helped them out with a few health problems and that. So next time we went over there, they put up these posters and just left them on the bar. And everybody was coming in, reading them. And then we'd go off, we'd go wander on the beach, get the deck chairs, I'd sit there and somebody'd come shaking, you Chee Soo? Yeah. Oh, from Peppy's bar. My wife's got a problem with the back, or I've got a problem with my arm, and can you oh no, we're supposed to be on holiday. Anyway, it got round, then we arranged to take this couple out for a meal, and they came to our hotel, and we were meeting in the foyer, and somebody said, oh, that's that Chee Soo, these posters are all about. And this big guy was just like Jeff Capes to look at, and the size of him was absolutely massive. He towered over Chee. And he just went up, and he was really challenging Chee, And there we were all dressed up in our best, ready to go out for a Chinese meal. And he just said, well, I've heard that you can pick up people, and I bet you can't pick me up, that sort of challenge. And she said, oh, well, yeah. Well, you believe what you want to believe, He said, well, come on then, prove me wrong. So Chee looked at me and I said, well, go on then. So, of course, he did. He says, well, pick, as he does, pick you up, Of course, he couldn't pick this fella up. And this fella says, well, oh, I can pick you up. That was it. I can pick you up. And he says, yeah, like a bag of feathers, I can pick you up. She said, well, do it twice. And, yeah, see, knew I could pick you up. She said, well, just do it one more time, because he turns his hands over, and he couldn't budge him. And he was going red in the face, and he's looking down. He said, you've stepped in super glue or something, And she said, no. He says, how can I go back home and say I met this little tiny Chinese man, half my weight, half my size, and I couldn't even lift him up off the floor? He said, I can't go back and tell him that because they won't believe me. And with that, our friends came and we just went out, But the funny thing was, we'd been staying there for a week, and they were all sort of German, I think, in there. And they completely ignored us because I think we were the only two British ones in this hotel. Came down to breakfast next day, and they were all saying, hello, you come sit by me, you come sit by me. They just wanted to know him and sit by him. But it was so funny, but this man's face was a picture. He just couldn't, he walked out in disgust. He said, I can't believe I couldn't pick you up. So I think he must have been some sort of a weightlifter, because that's the type he looked, And he just couldn't budge Chee at all. But unknowing to us, we thought it was just him and us two, and his mates. But when we looked round, we had a whole circle of people watching what was going on, And I thought, oh gosh, this is turning into some sort of comedy show, But, yeah, Chee used to just shrug his shoulders and smiled at him and say, enjoy the rest of your holiday. Well, I can't go home and tell him this, And he said, okay. Yeah. Oh, we've had some fun times on holidays. Because Chee was totally different on holidays, obviously, to when he was teaching, Once he'd finished teaching, that was it. He became a different sort of person in a way, There was such a funny side to him, and he liked to joke, and a lot of people didn't know he was a brilliant singer. He had a lovely voice singing.
Right.
Yeah, he was a lovely singer.
What sort of singing?
Anything.
Or did he do karaoke?
Sort of, yes. Yeah. he liked modern pop music, funny enough. Really modern stuff, you know. I remember when we was at Leamington once, we was doing, I think we were doing a health and massage course and a bit of yoga. And somebody said it would be nice to do this to some Chinese music. So I previously in the morning I said to Chee, we've got some nice Chinese music here. We can take one of these tapes tonight. And took the recorder. He says, okay, so I played a few and he said, yeah, that's nice, yes. He was doing a bit of meditation as well. So he said, yeah, we'll take that one. I said, okay, so I left him then. He picked up the machine and got this tape, put it in, it was UB40. And everybody just laughed. Yeah, he just picked up the wrong tape and it was one of his favourites. It was UB40 of all things.
I remember him saying it's quite good to do Tai Chi to reggae because it's rhythmic music, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. He did. He liked.
Because they're a Coventry band, aren't they?
Yeah, UB40. I mean, at that time they were popular. That's why we'd got the tape, you know. But he liked a lot of modern pop music. He wasn't into classical or opera or anything like that. He really liked the modern stuff, you know.
What was his favourite band then?
Well, at the time he liked UB40, funny enough, and I don't know why.
Because I heard he used to
and
like
the 3 Degrees, the Nolans he loved, yeah. Yes, he did.
The 3 Degrees?
And the 3 Degrees, yeah. But the Nolans, he loved the Nolans, yeah. Oh, he used to have it on full blast in his car from here down to London. It would drive us mad. Especially if we were taking somebody with us, and like if it was Keith or somebody, he'd sit in the front and me and Debbie and perhaps Michelle be in the back, and it was blaring out and we used to get all the cushions and shoved in the loudspeakers. But if I hear that once more I'll scream. And then we'd have it all the way back again. Because he was a very fast driver. Well, he had the name, didn't he, the Flying Seal, so he put his foot down and he went. But I found out it was a lot of the tapes he was playing. The more faster, the more modern the music was, the faster he'd go. So I used to say, oh, I've got a new tape here, Chee, can I put this one in? It'd be slow, calm music, and he'd slow right down. And then after about half an hour he said, change the tape. But if I got a bit panicky, thought he's going too fast, I'd quickly change the tape and put on the smooth one, you know. But it worked for a while, but he cottoned on what I was doing, I think.
So he used to like singing along to the music in the car, is it?
Not so much in the car, but at home, you know. He always had the music on when he was working, when he was writing his books. He liked music on, and yes.
You'd love the internet, because you can get all the music on there.
No, we wouldn't cope with the internet.
And he was a dancer too?
Yes.
He used to like dancing?
Yes.
What sort of dancing did he do then?
Oh, the jive and the twist.
The jive and the twist?
Yeah. That was only two that, well, he'd do a bit of quick step and waltz and that. But if you saw him doing the jive and the quick and the twist, we'd just sit there gobsmacked, you know. He'd be doing it on his own because I couldn't do it with him. Yeah.
I wonder where he learned all that then.
I don't know, because the first time I saw him do it was when this was in Bulgaria, when I went out with my brother and my sister-in-law. And we used to go to the same taverna place every night for a meal, and they were fantastic to him. Did proper vegetarian meals, as near to Chiang Min as you could get, because we got to know the girls out there. The girls used to wait on. Well, they were friends of me, brothers, and explain to them that he didn't eat this, he didn't eat that. And no problem. You just tell us what you'll eat and we'll put it. And they used to making the most fantastic meals, you know. Well, when the meal time was over, a group used to come in and play, and it turned into like a little tiny dance floor. And and my brother used to laugh and say, oh, every now and again his leg would ache, especially when you went towards the shop. We used to say, yeah, he was thinking of the pain in his pocket, not the pain in his leg, when we were going shopping. But we'd go back to this place, have a meal. As soon as the music come on, he'd say, come on, let's get up and dance. And he'd be the first one up there dancing. And he'd start doing the jiving and the twisting. I think, I don't believe this, you know. And then he'd sit down. But it got so that the music wouldn't start until she walked in. So if we went a bit later, the band wouldn't be playing. They said, here comes our old man. Now we can start, you know. And the music would go on, and he'd get up and dance, and everybody else would get up and dance. So, but they wouldn't start the music until she walked in. So it was...
That's Bulgaria.
That was when we went to Bulgaria, yeah.
Did you go a few times there?
Yeah, I went a few times out there, yeah. He liked it out there. It was...
He liked the people, didn't he? He said to me.
Oh, he loved them.
Yeah.
Absolutely
He said
loved
they were very
them.
nice, pleasant. Like
They, you know, they're so poor. You wouldn't believe how poor... and the wages I mean, I'm talking a few years ago. Well, not that long ago, but...
Like 10 or 12 years. 15.
Yeah. But my brother had been going out there for 15 years or more, you know, and he'd got to know the one family very well, so they become close friends. And then they just said, we're fetching my sister and her husband out. Next time we come, fine. He goes out there. And the father and mother of the friends they met invited us to their place one evening for a meal, and it was way up into the hills, into the, you know, back of beyond sort of. And they were telling us how much money they get, like for working a week or for a month. Top dentist was getting equivalent to £15 a month out there. You know, they were so poor. But the feast they put on was unbelievable. And everything is natural out there. There's no such things as chemicals and additives in the foods and preservatives and that. Everything was off the land. And, you know, and that's how they used to live out there. But the food was second to none. It really was. And they did
What's
it.
the name of the place in Bulgaria?
Bulgaria.
What was the
Golden
name?
Sands. But this was up in the... Well, we went, I don't know the name of the place, you know, it was way up into the mountains where they lived. And I mean, they were so poor, it's unbelievable. You can't believe how they can survive. And you used to see the women on the dust carts and on the water carts in the height of the tourist season, emptying the dust, you know, driving the big bin lorries. And I used to say, well, where's all the men? Well, they're out working the land. They were out working the land, so the women had to do the things in the tourist areas, in the hotels and the bins and the big water lorries that used to go around. And God, they used to work so hard.
It must be quite like a natural environment, not as many factories and stuff.
No, I can't even think now what they produce in Bulgaria as such, you know.
No, you don't
I
really
can't
see
think
made
of
in
anything.
Bulgaria
No,
very
you
much.
don't. And most of it is farmland, and of course in winter they've got the skiing, because they've got the very, very cold winters, and then you've got the very hot summers. But I honestly can't think of anything that they produce to survive. So whether they just survive on tourism, I don't know.
So I suppose Chee came from quite a poor background, really, didn't he? So get along with people like that.
What with Chee, he always had a slight chip on his shoulder because he had some bad experiences when he was living in London about being with a Chinese face, you know. And I'd seen it with my own eyes when we were in Coventry. He'd be the last one to be served, even if he was first one in the queue. And I saw that with my own eyes. And silly little remarks that people would say as we walked by, like slanty eyes or chinky, or... So he always had this little bit of a chip on his shoulders.
Well, people would say
so
that
when anybody was nice to him, he was absolutely shocked. And, you know, especially when we went to Wales. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He absolutely loved it down there. Because we were walking along a lane to go to the next town one day. It was a lovely day. And I said, well, let's walk into town. Say, get in the car, right? And we met this chap coming the opposite way with a dog. And as we crossed, this man says, good morning, how are you? Lovely day, isn't it? And she just smiled and he was shocked. He said, that man doesn't know me. And he said, hello, what's this? Yeah, well, why shouldn't he? He says, yeah, but me with my face. And that's when it hit me, thinking he must have had some rough times, you know, that he never sort of spoke about.
So people were quite racist.
Yeah, and then we
them.
went into the next village in Brimau. I'm going in the shops, and everybody spoke to him, and you know, and then over the years we were down there, you know, and say, well, what are you going to buy her today? Or what are you going to do today? Why don't you sit down and let her wander around? And do you want a cup of tea? And they'd make such a fuss of him. And not because, well, I'm not saying not because he was Chinese and they'd never seen a Chinese before, because there's Chinese takeaways down there and whatever. But they just seemed to take to him. And he just, you know, it took his breath away sometimes. And he couldn't believe how many people would help him if, like, the car broke down or whatever.
I think when he was young in London at that time, there weren't that many Chinese in Britain at all.
No. And
so
I think and I think he had a bit of a rough time. I don't mean he was assaulted or beaten up or anything like that, but I think he was very much a loner. It made him a loner because he was an orphan. And
when he met Chan Li, he must have been great. That shows how weird that must have been.
To see another Chinese face.
Yeah.
I mean, just by playing, you know, football in the park, and it hit this other, and this man turned round, and he had a face like cheese, like a Chinese, and that's how they got talking and one thing and another, and.
Because he didn't have his father, did he? So, I don't know, what, his own father?
Yes, he obviously doesn't know much about him because he was just a baby. I mean, I don't know how old he was when his father died, but he couldn't have been more than a year or two old. And then his mother died when he was 4 or 5, so... He didn't know his parents as such. The only thing he can remember was somebody taking him to what he believes was a hospital, or a hospital type of place, and he saw this woman lying in bed, and he didn't know who she was or why he was taken there. It was only after, when he grew up in his memory, he started remembering things. He thought, they must have been taking me to see my mother when she was dying. So, he doesn't remember anything about his mother or his father.
That's very sad, isn't it?
It is, but and again, because there was no other Chinese people around as well, he must have felt so lonely and so alone, even though he had good foster parents or whatever. It's still different when you're a child growing up and going out or going to school, that there wasn't anybody else that even looked like you, you know? So whether he was picked on or made fun of, I don't know.
Well, it's funny because I was just talking to a man on Saturday who also is Chinese, I think. He is Chinese. And I was talking to him, and he said that he's from up north. And I said, how was your school life? Because we were just talking about schools.
Yes.
And he said, oh, well, I was bullied a lot. And I said, oh, oh dear, and he goes, oh yeah. He says sometimes people would respect me, but if anybody wanted to be horrible, then they would pick on me.
Yes, yeah.
And that's now, you know.
Yeah, and no doubt that's what happened to Chee. I don't know, because of all him being a great master, he himself was a very insecure man. Very insecure. Every time I went out of the house, he was waiting, watching every bus coming to the bus stop to see if I was on it. You know, every time I went out, if I had to go into town, you know, to do a bit of shopping and he was busy in the house, I'd go into town on my own, come back. And when I got off the bus, and the bus stop was almost opposite where we lived, walk across the road, he'd have a cup of tea in his hand waiting for me. I didn't think he was going to come back. Why? Oh, I don't know, I just got this feeling that, you know, you'd left, you weren't coming back. I said, well, I wouldn't go without my clothes. I used to make a joke out of it. Oh, I wouldn't go without my clothes, and I wouldn't go without this, and I wouldn't go without that. And then he'd just smile, you know. It did cross my mind, because I don't know what you're doing with me, you know. You know. And then we went to America, and Dave from Wales will tell you the same. Chris and I went in to see a show, and it was a boiling hot day. So Dave and Chee sat outside looking at whatever was going on, and not far from this big tent that Chris and I went in. We went to see like a sort of a show with horses and something, and they weren't really interested, so they stayed outside. And then Dave told me after every 5 minutes, he kept saying to Dave, do you think they're all right? Dave said, yeah, they're all right. They're sitting in there watching a show. Oh, right, okay. 5 minutes go by. Do you think we better go and look for them? No, they're fine. We'll just go for a walk. We better not go far because they might not know where we are. Well, they'll stay here. Oh, all right. Now, I think we better go in and find them. And he said in the end, he drove him mad. And we were only in there 3/4 of an hour. But he said if he asked once, he asked a dozen times, should we go in, make sure they're all right. He was so insecure in a way.
He's a very humble man, though, wasn't he?
Oh, he was so humble. Oh, he was. I mean, when he met the coloured boxer Frank Bruno.
Oh, yeah.
Down in Bristol.
Yeah.
You know, I know it was set up for him. Frank Bruno had heard about him. He'd read his book, apparently, and then somebody said, oh, he's coming down this weekend. He said, oh, I'd love to meet this guy, you know. So they arranged for us to meet. I said, Jill, Frank Bruno, what does he want to see me for? Because he's the big man. I'm not. I'm a nobody. Why does he want to see me? I said, well, he's heard about you. He's read your book, and he'd just like to meet. But I'm a nobody. I'm a nothing. And he is the big man, you know. And he couldn't understand why he wanted to meet him, you know. It's just, as I said, he was very, very humble.
But at that time, around that time, he was having 100 people in the hall. Wasn't that was then? So how come he didn't think he was? I mean,
because he never
sort of thought of it like that.
No.
Yeah, that's the way, isn't it?
He was. I mean, he was. I know he could be a bit.
But that's why he was such a good master.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he was the teaching kung fu and the fighting arts or the weapons or anything like that. Nobody could beat him. But in the house, he was the most gentle, kindest person you could ever wish to meet. You really could. You know, he had a heart of gold.
Yeah.
He would do anything. Well.
Did he get very tired?
Yes, yeah. He did get tired, yeah.
How did he deal?
But there again, when you think,
that,
I mean, I met him when he was 62. He was 62 when I met him. So he wasn't a young person then. So, I mean, when you think at 62 going on like 72, you would get tired, wouldn't you? Especially doing martial arts and trying to write and then travelling all over the country. You would begin to get tired. You would slow down. Because he never stopped All right, he worked weekends doing the courses, but he never stopped in the house. From the minute he got up and had his breakfast, he was at his typewriter all the time. And in books all the time, you know, checking up on this and, you know, comparing notes with one thing and another, and he just never stopped.
Still learning, wasn't he? Always.
Yeah.
As well. I mean,
because a lot of his work had gone up in flames in the house he lived in, you know, years ago, when he was a salesman and he was out on. And he came back and he was renting a thatched cottage and it went up in flames and all his work went with it. All his notes, like from Channel E and everything, they just... So gradually he tried to remember things, you know, and you can't remember everything, and sometimes you write things down, like some art or some form, and then he'd go through it and think, that's not working out right. That's not right, that doesn't flow right, that doesn't, you know. So yeah, but he never stopped.
The health stuff as well, all the massage notes and all that, that's a lot of work, isn't it?
Yes, which meant he had a lot more research to do.
Yeah.
An awful lot. And then he had a lot of his notes stolen from Alderman Caller's school at one time. Yeah.
Who did that?
I mean, why he ever took his briefcase, I don't know.
Yeah, but
He'd
wouldn't
prepare
anyone
on
to
the Friday
steal.
night. He'd say to me, what are we doing this weekend? I'll say, oh, it's health and massage this weekend, you know, whatever. Or it's the students' Tai Chi and Kung Fu, or it's the instructors' Tai Chi, Kung Fu, whatever. Right, okay, so he'd get all his notes, prepare them all, put them in his briefcase, put them on the bench and never opened them. Very rarely did he go into his briefcase to sort of think, oh yeah, what did I plan today? Oh well, never mind, you know. And so he'd fetched home the briefcase just the same way as he took it down unopened. But one day he got his notes out for somebody to check on something, left them there, and they were gone.
Damn.
Now, I'm saying it could have been an accident, a mistake, but if somebody had gone home with his notes, they would have known and fetched him back or rang him up and said, I've picked these up by mistake, wouldn't they? I would have thought.
So he used to help people out quite a bit, didn't he? Behind the scenes.
All behind us, and there was always people come into the house.
People with health problems.
Yeah, and he'd go out as well to people. I mean, he never charged a penny, you know. They'd ring him up all hours of the day and night and say, can you come down, wherever it was, in Coventry or Birmingham or whatever. And he'd go out and try to help them and this. And I mean, it was all free. He wouldn't charge anybody anything. You know, all he'd do was give him the Changmin diet and recommend different herbs or different poultices or whatever, you know. I mean, he didn't administer anything because, well, he wouldn't. But he used to sit them down, talk to them. He might give them a massage. But, you know, he wouldn't charge a penny. He just wouldn't. That just wasn't him. Because his opinion was, I got it for nothing, so I give for nothing, you know.
Fair enough.
I mean, he had to charge for the hall, obviously, because he had to pay for the hall. Yes, and that caused a problem one day when the Lord Mayor turned up, didn't it?
What?
Do you remember that, when the Lord Mayor turned up?
No.
It was on a Saturday morning and we were all in there. I think it was an instructor's course. And we were all in there training, and then one of the staff at Alderman came and said, Marilyn, can you ask Chee to move his car? Why? Because we're expecting the Lord Mayor any moment, and he's come to have a look around the school because it was one of the newest buildings built, you know, and they wanted to come and they said, so will you ask him to move his car? I says, you are joking. I said, there's no way on God's earth will I go and ask him to move his car. If you want to ask him to move his car, you go in and ask him. I said, but I'm not. So he says, why? I says, just take it from me. I wouldn't even bother if I were you, because his car was his pride and joy, wasn't it? And we'd parked there for years and years and years in the same place, not blocking anybody in. It was like a little sort of cut-off cul-de-sac, wasn't it? So you couldn't go anywhere once you parked there.
Yeah.
And I said, but why does the Lord Mayor's car want to go in his place? Well, it won't be so far for the Lord Mayor to walk, will it? Because if you remember rightly, you went up the driveway, but you had to back out.
Mm.
There was just enough room to drive up. And I said, well, I'm not asking him to move, so I value my life more than that. Well, he's got to move it. I said, then you go and ask him. So he says, okay. So this chap went in, it was the headmaster or whatever he was, went in and said, oh, Mr. Soo, do you mind moving your car? And he says, yeah, why? What's the problem? You know, he thought there was a problem. He said, oh, it's just that the Lord Mayor is coming to visit us. And she said, so? He says, well, would you mind moving it down to the bottom to the car park? He says, excuse me, I'm paying for this today, and I've been paying for it for years and years and years. I've put a lot more money into the school than what the Lord Mayor has.
Sounds like you. That's what he would say.
And he went, oh, so you're not going to move your car? I said, no. He said, no, I'm not going to move my car. Unless you don't want me to teach here anymore. He said, then I'll pack up the class here and now, and we won't come back here ever again. And he says, oh, no, don't take that attitude, Mr. Soo. He says, well, put it this way, who comes here more often, me or the Lord Mayor? And he says, well, yes, but he is the Lord Mayor. He says, I don't care who he is. So, and I was laughing. I thought, I'd rather you argue with me. So then after a bit, he calmed down. And this fellow went off and he said to Des, I think it was, Des, get me keys and move me car. By the time Des come out, the Lord Mayor had come up and his driver had to park behind Chee then. And the Lord Mayor had got out and he walked out. I mean, it wasn't the Lord Mayor's fault. He didn't care two monkeys where he parked, you know. It was a lovely sunny day, so it didn't make any difference. So I went up and had a word with the driver. So I was laughing with him. I said, sorry about this, I said, but I said, my husband wouldn't move his car. He said, I don't blame him either. And he said, I wouldn't move my car either because he's only going to be here 5 minutes and then he's going. And his own chauffeur just laughed as well, you know. But it was just the attitude of the headmaster of
we
school.
We had that recently with the headmistress of a school, didn't we, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's
we
just...
left that one. We left it. And we've got a much better place now.
Yeah.
So.
Mm.
But, yeah, that was so funny. I know, Des was hopping on one foot to another. What do I do? What do I do? I said, just leave it. It'll sort itself out. You know?
How did Des start training? Do you know?
Before my time.
Yeah.
He knew him like from quite a few years before. The same as Tony, the two Tonys, Tony Swanson and Tony Ellison. Because I think Tony Swanson, I think he was the last one I met out of the three of them. Because there were so many rumours going around that she was dead, that he'd emigrated to Australia or New Zealand, and then he was emigrated to France and he was living there. There were so many rumours, you know, floating around. It was as if she had disappeared off the face of the earth for about 4 or 5 years. Nobody knew where he was and what he was doing. And then, but he was still down in the London area, and then he moved up to Coventry, and then we sort of got things, kick-started it off again, and then contacted a few people. Well, obviously by this time people had moved away, and gradually it filtered through to different people, and they all, you know, came back, and then I remember Tony walking in, and I didn't know who the hell he was. I didn't realise he was one of the old guys from before, you know, and Tony Ellison as well, and Des. They were the three main ones around at the time.
So how did you first get to meet Chee Soo then?
He was at my son-in-law's house. He was that with my daughter. They weren't married then, and it was her 21st birthday.
In Coventry.
And this was in Coventry, and it was in the February, beginning of February. Bitter cold, freezing day. The motorways was closed because they'd had a lot of snow, and she was in the process of moving up here, so he was storing a lot of his stuff in Keith's house. And this Saturday they told everybody not to go on the motorway. If you do, you go at your own risk, because it was so bad. Well, of course, she took notice of that, and he just shot up the motorway, you know. And apparently after he'd gone through, they closed the road off anyway, just for safety reasons, because they'd had a lot of snow. And he turned up at Debbie's house, at Keith's house, and knowing that there was a birthday party going on. And that's where I met him, because he was just storing. And the reason I went over there was that my son, who had been living in Nigeria at the time, had come over, and he wanted to see Debbie and Keith, you know, his sister, and where she was living. So I says, well, I know where it is, but you'll have to take me over. And so we went over there, and we were having a bit of a party.
So Keith's your son-in-law?
Yes, yeah, and he used to be one of Chee's students.
Right.
So he knew Chee very well. I'd been training with him for years and years and years. And then he said to Keith one day, I'd like to live in the Midlands, I'd like to move up, will you send me down information on houses, you know, from the estate agent? So Keith used to collect all the stuff from the estate agents, and either send it to him or wait for him to come up and give it to him, and he'd look through, that's got no garage, and that's no good, this one looks okay, that one's not so, that's out of my price range, or whatever, you know. He'd filter through them until he had a little pile of those that might be okay. But in the meantime, he started moving a lot of his paperwork up and a lot of his personal stuff up to keep in Keith's house. And then we turned up, and then halfway through the party, it was sort of a late afternoon party, not a night party. There was a knock on the door, and it was Chee turned up with some more of his stuff, you know, very embarrassed that he didn't know it was anybody's birthday or whatever. Shook hands with me, and he said, you've got varicose veins. Now, it was in the middle of winter. I had trousers, I had boots on, I had coats on, I had everything. And he said, your circulation is very bad, and I bet you've got varicose veins. And he was absolutely right.
That's a nice way to greet you.
Oh, what a strange man. But, and they wanted him to stay the night, but because there was a party on, he felt quite embarrassed. And he said, no, I'll go. And he travelled all the way back. He stayed for half an hour or so, and then he travelled all the way back down to London, you know. And I said the weather was absolutely atrocious. It was terrible.
You just meant to come up.
Yeah, he just come up on a whim. He thought, oh, I've got nothing on this afternoon, I'll nip up there. But the weather was so bad. But secretly, I found out after, it's because he'd got his new car that week, and he wanted to try out his new car. He wanted to give it a run on the motorway.
Was it white? A white
Oh,
car?
yes, of
It's
course.
always a white one.
Always white. He only had one other one, and that was a blue. And he kept that for 3 months, I think, and then he changed it. So every car since then had to be.
So he came up and worked at Vauxhall, didn't he? Up here. Worked at Vauxhall.
No, not up
did he come up
here.
here to work at Vauxhall?
Luton.
Oh.
Luton, that's where he
So
was.
when he
That's
came
where
up
he was
here, he
living.
didn't work anyway? Just
No, he'd
stopped?
been retired years.
Oh.
Yeah, he retired quite a few years. But no, he had to have a white car. And it had to be a Vauxhall car as well.
Mm.
But then he took a fancy to these little Jeep type things. And he thought, quite fancy one of them, because he sat in one and he was quite high up, and he thought, that's good, I can see everything, you know. And anyway, we had it for about 3 months, and I know we was going down to see Tony Chan in Hatfield. just to visit him. And he's driving along, he said, this car won't do no more than 70. And he said, look, there's a flipping man on a push bike overtaking me now. So he kept it about 3 months and took it back to the garage. He said, no, can't cope with this. So he got rid of it, and then he got a normal car. But it made me laugh. He said, comes to something when somebody on a push bike can overtake me, and then when it wasn't, it was just his way of putting it, you know. Because he used to like to put his foot down.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, he was.
There's a close down the road, isn't it? Cavalier Close. I was thinking of Chee when I come past it.
Oh, really?
Vauxhall Cavalier, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, I think he's had every sort of, in that time, he changed his car nearly every year, didn't he? Because the joke was, as soon as the ashtray was full, he changed his car, you know.
Did he meet, you know, like Chan Lee was his teacher?
Yeah.
Did he have any other teachers?
No. No.
There was some talk on on this forum we have. There were some brothers. There's something brothers. What are they called?
Oh, he met other teachers, but he never actually, not as far as I know, had any other.
Train with them, maybe.
Yeah, well, when you say train with them, you might have gone for a weekend course with them, because they were like that. You know, we'll come to your course, you come to our course, or there was one particular cafe in London that he used to go to, and I think a lot of the Chinese or Orientals went into this cafe, and they used to get talking, you know. Someone would say, oh, I run this sort of club, and she said, well, I do kung fu, and somebody did karate, and somebody else, oh, why didn't you come along to one of ours, you know? And she said, yeah, okay. And then he'd say, well, why don't you come to one of mine? So, but that doesn't mean to say they taught each other. They just went to see how the other clubs worked and what the other arts was, you know.
Yeah.
But he had great fun with the I think it was the karate club he went to. Somebody invited him to, and they lined all their men up, you know, and says, right, see if you can get through without them touching you. And he did. He went from top to bottom, and not one of them could touch him. Aikido, was it? Yeah, I couldn't remember. And he says, right, I'll make you whatever belt they have in that art, I don't know. And she says, no, I'm not interested, I just want to stick to my own, you know.
Yeah.
But
because there was this demo or something that people were talking about, that somebody had challenged him, and he did a Taoist trick of pretending that he'd got a bad leg, so he couldn't do this challenge, and all these people were saying, oh, he should have done the challenge. But it was a kids' demo, apparently, for kids. And I think, well, we think that we don't know what really happened, but these people were saying he said he had this bad leg, so he couldn't. Then he could have had a bad leg, couldn't he? But they were saying he didn't do it, this challenge. And we were saying, well, maybe that was his way of going round something when it wasn't appropriate, you know, to.
Well, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah.
I remember him limping
He
sometimes towards the end, didn't he?
He did.
But then I suppose reading that piece of paper that you gave me last time I come round about the way he was treated in the
No, well,
prisoner of war camp.
I don't think it was that. I know, well, you know what he died of, you know, an abdominal aneurysm. And I think it wasn't so well known when he died, but I think it was probably thrombosis. A blood clot that moved up his leg and went to his side.
Because he'd been on quite a long plane journey.
We'd done an awful lot of flying the previous 2 years. I mean, long distance, like to America and Kenya and America, Kenya and Australia. You know, within a few years we'd done, and then the European countries, we'd seemed to have done an awful lot of flying. Well, thrombosis wasn't linked to flying at that time. It was only after, wasn't it, that they said, you know, long haul flights and that can cause thrombosis.
Yeah.
Because he'd been limping for about, off and on for about 3 years before he actually died.
It's going to catch up with you.
And we noticed it, and he used to say it's cramp, because he used to say, you want to go to the doctors with that leg, you know. Never even thinking of thrombosis. I just said, there's something wrong with your leg, because you keep rubbing it. He said, oh, it's only a cramp, it'll go. And he used to rub it and massage it, and it did go. And then it turned into a joke, because every time we went out, especially with my brother and his wife, or on holiday, as soon as we got to the shops, this pain would come. We'd say, yeah, you're thinking about the pain in your pocket, aren't you? You know, the pain in your leg goes up to your pocket, especially if we come to dress shops or whatever sort of shops or markets or whatever. I haven't said that, I used to love shopping anyway. And it just turned into a joke, you know, because we say, how come he doesn't get pain in the leg when he's up dancing? You know, and it was that sort of banter we used to have with him. But he used to go out, say once a week whenever the dustbin men came, and he'd collect everybody's dustbins in and take them back to their gardens, and they were big heavy things, you know. I said, well, why are you doing that? He said, well, they're all in work, you know, and they'd have to do it when they come home. Neighbours that we didn't really talk too much, you know, like next door and the one opposite, Patrick opposite, and then somebody else 2 doors down. He'd fetch our own bin in, then he'd go around taking everybody else's bins in, and then he'd come back with his leg, you know, hurting. I said, you shouldn't have done that. You know, and then he'd walk perhaps down to the post office, fine, but walking up, then his leg would do it. And it got more and more regular. But you hardly ever saw it on the training.
No, I didn't see it ever.
I could tell when it was starting, but nobody else knew.
So he had malaria as well, didn't he?
Oh,
from
he
his
had
time
malaria,
in the Far
yes.
East. And that's something that.
But this
sticks
is
with
probably
you.
caused through, well, sort of smoking perhaps, and a lot of flying.
I remember he had scars on his legs.
Oh, he had scars up his legs, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that, you know,
But just the weakness.
probably,
of,
yeah,
like,
could have weakened it.
on that
but,
piece of paper it says about him being staked out in the sun for 7 days and nearly going blind.
Yes, yeah.
And then when he came back, he was 4 stone.
Oh, he was...
He'd lost his
Well, they
teeth,
used to put
his
them
hair.
on double rations, as they called it, when they came back from being prisoners of war. They used to give them double rations of the food and that, and they put him on treble rations because he'd lost that much weight. So he was allowed 3 times as much as anybody else, you know.
That's going to be quite a strain on your system.
Oh,
isn't it?
gosh, yeah.
It's going to age you, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. But, and then when he escaped, you see, they only had a little bit of rice here, there and everywhere, and he escaped with a Gurkha. And the Gurkha was from that region, and he knew what herbs was good or what was bad. So they used to eat a lot of herbs as well. And he says that's what got us through to the other side, him and this Gurkha chap, because he had a great knowledge of the local herbs and what fruit or berries you could eat, you know. For some obviously were probably deadly poison, but this Gurkha knew exactly which ones you could eat, what leaves you could eat and what you couldn't eat. So they escaped over the mountain until they got to somebody who took him in and looked after him.
He had quite a long time with Chan Lee, really, didn't he? In a way, because you met him when he was about, what, 12 or something?
12 or 13, yeah.
So he had that time before the army. That was about, I think, about 8 years or something. 7 years.
Yes, but he didn't have that much time after, did he, when he came back? Because then Chan Lee died, didn't he?
He died in 54, didn't he?
Yeah, he went on. But, I mean, he was a traveller, was Chan Lee, wasn't he? Back and forth China on the boats.
Yeah.
And then the boat capsized and he died. So he didn't have an awful lot of time with him after, because he was only over here for a few weeks or whatever before he'd have to get back on his boat
Right.
to go back again. So, yeah, he had quite a hard upbringing, you know. He had some nice foster parents, but he had some that weren't so nice. But on the whole, I think he had fairly good foster parents. They used to farm them out in different places. But in those days, unlike today, if there was a family, they'd try to house all the family together, wouldn't they, under one foster care? But I mean, his one sister went to one foster home, his other sister went to another foster home, and they lost touch. So he really did feel alone as such, you know.
Yeah.
And one of his foster homes was up here in Warwickshire.
In Leamington.
In Leamington, wasn't it? Yeah. Was up around.
Barnardo's.
Yes.
It was somebody's house or actually a home?
Well, he was in Dr. Bernardo's home, and then they fostered him out from there to a house in Warwickshire, somewhere in Warwickshire, and I can't remember exactly where it was.
My dad was in an orphanage in Warwick. But there was like a convent one there.
Yes.
Run by nuns.
Might have been the same one.
He never had a...
Bernardo's is different.
Oh, good God, is that the time already?
Yep. More thunder.
No, I'm just saying I'm Morgan.
Is
Here
the
comes
baby
trouble.
coming now?
Oh, God. Put everything away now.
Everything.
I should move that, Chris.
How big is the baby now?
Hit me up.
1.5.
Uh-oh. Is it walking?